Let's talk about breaking and entering in the context of relationships and human behavior. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling men and women who've experienced abuse, as well as those who've been perpetrators of abuse. I wanted to talk about breaking and entering, and for the most part, most of us know that that is a crime, essentially breaking into someone's home. And in my experience, there's a number of reasons why people do this. I think we're all familiar with the more scary and pathological reason, right? Which is when a stranger sort of breaks into your home. But there are some people who do this when the relationship is over. And here's how it comes up in a number of ways in terms of the relationship being over and people breaking into your home. So I think one of the scariest things is when the answer is no, I don't want to be with you anymore. We're done. No, it's over, and, there's a person that, isn't accepting no. And so they're going to break into your home. They're going to hide and they're going to wait for you to come home. So those are those types of people that I've worked with. There are other scenarios where you break up with someone and you tell them, hey, it's over. I don't want to be with you. Or they're telling you it's over. I don't want to be with you. Or maybe they're telling you, hey, I found somebody else. I like them more, and I've known scenarios where, let's say the person that is being rejected bought the other person a lot of stuff. So they bought them shoes, clothes, gaming consoles, jewelry, vehicles, or, things like that. So if they bought them a lot of material stuff and that person is saying, this isn't working for me, or I found someone better, people will break into their home and steal the stuff they bought the person back. So there is that scenario. Another scenario is the relationship is going awry. I hate you, and I want to hurt you real, real bad. And I forget, I saw a show that demonstrated this, but I cannot remember the name of the show. So if I want to hurt you really bad and, we're breaking up and I don't like the fact that you're breaking up from me, I don't believe in breaking up unless it's on my terms, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire people to break into your home. Those people are going to attack you and they're going to attack your children. And whatever happens. They can rob, rape, pillage, kill. It doesn't matter. And anything goes. The show that I watched, which was a great example of this happens. And this kind of stuff happens all the time. I've seen people in prison who've done this kind of stuff. But in the show that this happened, a woman broke up with this guy and he had his friends break in. And I think she got shot, but he actually shot and killed one of her children that she was fostering, if my memory serves me correctly. I can't remember the name of that show. So there's that context of breaking and entering. There are, let me see. There is breaking and entering by way of neuroticism, is some psychoanalysts would call it. And I saw this quite a bit, when and this is something that you're not going to find in your classical psychology textbook. So for all those armchair psychologists, this is not one you're going to be able to find in the books. But one of the ones I found, and I've only found that this is my experience. I've only found that white women do this type of breaking and entering, and specifically upper echelon, wealthy white women. So let's say, for example, their husband doesn't want to be with them anymore, and he's moved on. He's found someone else, and that knew someone else. He now has an apartment, or he's living somewhere else in town. And what will happen is, this person wants her husband back. And so I've got to do something to get their attention, and I want my husband back. So I'm going to create a ruckus. So I will break into someone's home and stand in the darkness. And that's they don't usually go to jail for that, but that's usually a breakdown. And it's like, okay, if I create this big scene, then my husband will come home. He will come back. He will see that I need him, right? And this isn't, this is just general stuff. This is stuff that happens quite a bit. I've also seen it, I've also seen it in situations where other people, with poor mental health, again, they become psychotic, they're homeless and things like that, where they will also break and enter into a random person's home. If you are a person that has experienced the first 2 or 3 scenarios, that is not something to be taken lightly. You need to do what you need to do to protect yourself, and alert the authorities. If someone is willing to break into your home for the simple fact that you're saying no, then you need to alert the authorities. There are several instances where breaking and entering then turns into other stuff. Rape is very common. Robbery is very common. Harming someone, lying in wait. So that your person has moved on, so I'm going to lie in wait, and I'm going to wait for both of you to come home, and I'm going to do something to you when both of you have come home. But another one that's very common, a common co-occurring crime that happens is arson. So, I'm going to break into your home and I'm going to burn it down. And that's, when you have somebody that's like that, you've got something on your hands. But arson is also something that is very common when someone sets your place on fire or sets your things on fire within the home, or may even try to set you on fire while you're sleeping. And there's been some very famous cases of people setting other people's homes on fire, when they break up, or something like that, when they part ways. Well, I'm going to burn everything down, and sometimes it could be, I'm angry and I can't control my anger. Sometimes it's more of like I bought this house, or I bought this place, I own this place, and so I can do with it what I want to, and nobody can tell me any different, type of stuff. So there's that. There is also breaking and entering and stealing pets. So that's also something that's very common, or stealing things that are very, they may not have a lot of monetary value, but they're very valuable and sentimental to you. Maybe it's like, pictures of you and your deceased mom, or something like that. Something that you can't easily replace. So people will do that to be very vindictive. But there are people who will wait, and watch and things like that. Plus you also have strangers that are capable of doing that. So it's always good to be aware of your surroundings. Develop a good rapport with neighbors if you have some that you trust, especially elderly neighbors, because a lot of them are home all the time and they like to be nosy, and that can definitely come in handy. Get cameras and things like that. But breaking and entering is it often goes hand in hand with relationship, rage, anger, neuroticism, things like that. Lots of things there. Hope that helps.